Hello, ladies. Welcome to the Sophie's Choice podcast show. My name is Sophie. I am your host, and so excited to take you with me into my quantum field. For those of you who don't know me, I am a psychologist specialized in quantum physics, law of attraction, anything mindset related, and I'm crazy. I'm super crazy, and I activate you in your highest timeline. So if you're ready to manifest next level shit in your life, this is the show for you. Hope you enjoy.
Unique and perfect is what you are. And your miracle will come true.
Okay, ladies. So I have been contemplating recording an audio around this topic for a very long time. And every time I decided not to do it. And I'm having these quantum shifts, conversations behind the scenes. And I'm really investigating for myself, right? Like, what is it that I want in 24? And like, what do I, or where am I invited to step up in an even more unapologetic role? And how can I show myself even more authentic? And like, where am I still sort of playing small? And I had this conversation yesterday where we spoke about like one of my visions for 24, and like I was sort of struggling with myself. I was like, I feel like I'm still holding back. And I caught myself saying something in the line of like, I don't really want to do like, I'm laughing about it when I'm saying, I don't really want to do like large numbers of sales. Like, I'd rather have like intimate groups and maybe high ticket, but like, I don't really like large groups. That's what I caught myself saying. And I heard myself say that, and I was laying in bed. I was like, that's just simply not true. That is simply not true. I remember when I started my business in 2000, and I always get confused with the dates, but I think it was 2017. I saw like somebody online, like Gabby Bernstein. I saw her online on Facebook. Like back then, Facebook was like the main thing, right? Okay, a phone call came through, and sometimes when a phone call comes through and I like continue to record, the recording disappears. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop the recording and start all over. I'm not gonna start all over. I'm gonna use the beginning part, but like I don't know where I left off. But I think I was talking about Gabby Bernstein and how she did a live on Facebook, and I just saw so many freaking messages coming in, like people commenting and loving it and like feeling inspired, and I loved that freaking vibe. That was like my big inspiration. And that year, I believe I set the goal. I was like, you know what, I want to do a workshop for 100 people. I want to sell a book, and I had like, I think 3 other things on it. I want to buy a new car, like an SUV, and then I had like, I think I had 2 more things on it, or maybe I had 3 things on it, and this was it. I don't know. But those 3 things I can really clearly remember. And I remember, like, in my mind, I wasn't even really thinking about a physical book or a physical event for 100 people. I just knew I wanted to do 100 people and a book, right? And literally like a couple of months later, like I did all of that, by the way, in that year. I mean, I did my first live event for 100 people. I did my first real-time book, like not in a year, but 2 years later. But I also realized, like a couple of months into that year, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like I did my first live event because I had hosted a online workshop, like a free workshop, and more than 100 women attended, right? So, and then I later looked back and I was like, oh, I actually wrote a book because I published an ebook, and that got downloaded and bought a lot. I actually sold that ebook at that time. So I guess the reason for sharing this is that it's always an invitation to look a little bit further than just like your limiting mind. I have this video on Instagram which is called micro bitching, and it's really about like how we can caught up so much in the details that we sometimes to forget the bigger picture, and we also forget like to see, okay, we set out this intention, like don't be fixed on the form, right? So when I realized that I already accomplished those 100 women because I did an online free masterclass, I was like, oof, if that's possible, then the live event should be a no-brainer as well. And that turned out to be the case, right? So open up your energetic field for all the possibilities, right? So in that respect, I was having these behind the scenes conversations and talking about like what is it that I desire and for this year, and what is it that I want. And like I said, I caught myself saying that I like intimate groups, and like I said, that is not completely true. Yes, sometimes I like intimate groups, absolutely. For some programs I like the intimacy of the group, right? For example, when we're in masterminds, I like that because it gives another vibe. But there is so much magic when you gather with a lot of women in the same place. Like for example, with my new live event in Amsterdam, if I would have done that for 3 people, the energy would be completely different when we do it right now for 25, right? The magic when you get into that room, the buzz that you will get is already off the chart, right? I don't know if you guys have seen that Netflix documentary which is out now about Heal the World, that song that got released many years ago, and where all the big stars came together in one room one night to record that amazing song. Well, that's like the vibe I'm creating in It's Showtime, right? Like we're just getting together with all these amazing like-minded souls, and we are just gonna create a buzz. And like I have an intention for that day, but the way it's gonna work out and play out, it's gonna be even better, right? It's gonna be even more amazing. So that's one thing. I really do love like large amount of people in my programs, right? Even this podcast, right? I mean, I know when we amplify the amounts of listeners of this podcast, it will generate even more effect. The more people that listen to your content, the more people that hear it, consume it, the more energetic charge it actually gets. So that is like super powerful. And then I started questioning myself, like why did I sort of derail there? Like why did I at one point decided that it was safer for me, or it felt more comfortable in intimate spaces? And I immediately actually got my answer, and I told this person that I was having these conversations with, I told her that, and right then I said to her, maybe I should record a podcast about it. And I was still sort of hesitating it, like do I really want to do this? But I do feel like it's important to talk about, because it is a false sense of responsibility that a lot of us deal with, especially in the online space, especially if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a coach or a healer or anything in that regards. It is very likely that you have encountered something like this, maybe not like similar situation exact, but that you have come across those feelings that I'm going to discuss in this episode. And if you haven't yet experienced it, it's maybe something you are fearful of, and which is preventing you from going bigger with your message. And this is the thing. So what I discovered when I was having these conversations is that I started to dim my light. And I don't know if you have seen that movie from, I don't know what it's called exactly. It's like The Horse, the Mole, and the Boy, something like that. And then at the end of the movie, the horse actually tells the boy and the mole, like, I have a secret. And the fox, he says, I have a secret. Like, I actually used to fly. I'm able to fly, but I am too scared to fly anymore. I stopped doing it because I was too afraid to make the other other horses jealous that they couldn't fly. And that really resonated with me. That really struck a nerve with me, because I think like subconsciously that started to happen. I don't know like who is listening to this podcast, right? Maybe you are just beginning in your journey, but maybe you are very well on your journey of maybe you are already like that new Gabby Bernstein, right, in your own field, because I have a lot of those women in my energy field as well. And if you have that role, it comes with a lot of false responsibility, and there's probably a lot of things that you have encountered in your life and in your business that were very unpleasant. Jealousy, I've been there. Like, I've had that in my business. I have had and this is what I want to talk about, like when you go big with your message, when you have a lot of followers. Like on my old Instagram, I had over 7,000 followers. My old email list was around 8,000 email subscriptions. My old podcast show was like a lot more listeners than we currently have. And I really understand that in order for me to get there again, I first have to really decide that that's what I want, right? And of course, I gave myself permission last year to sort of okay, let's first focus on going international. And that's amazing that I did that, because that's another conversation I'm having behind the scenes. Like, a lot of people tell me, Sophie, what you have done in the Netherlands, where you actually broke out of that bubble and you went international. There are so many entrepreneurs who have tried to do that in the Netherlands, big entrepreneurs. I'm talking big names here, big names here in the Netherlands, who have tried it and who have not succeeded in it. And I made it happen. I did it, right? I broke out of it. 98% of my followers now come from another country. They're not from the Netherlands or Belgium. So that's what I really focused on last year in 23. And now I really feel, and I already felt it at the end of 23, okay, now I'm ready to go big again. Now I'm ready to go bold again. Now I'm ready to really become not mainstream, but really speak to an even larger public, right? And gather a lot of women in my energy field, in my physical reality, getting large groups again. And I'm ready. And of course, you right away understand, okay, what are the limiting beliefs that are coming up? Well, one of the first things is that with success and with growth in numbers, the tendency is that drama can be created there, right? I'm sort of I'm not coming to the point. I know, guys, just bear with me. I'm coming there. Just give me a second to give myself to share this with you all. Well, first of all, I don't believe that it necessarily has to be that way, that when you get more popular, that you get more shit. But trust me, chances are that you will get more shit when you get more popular. This is at least what I have encountered, and all my friends who have a lot of large numbers and sales numbers go through these things, right? In the beginning of my business, I had groups that were they were just going on behind my back and being mean, right? And sort of making anti Sophie groups, right? Talking about behind my back, turning against me. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't nice. It wasn't good, right? It wasn't lovely. I have thought and I think this is why I feel so cool to do this episode. For such a long time, I thought that was just me, until I really started to encounter a lot of entrepreneurs who were making a lot of money as well, and who had a lot of impact and followers. I started to understand, okay, this is something that we all go through. Everybody who has a lot of followers go through this shit, every single one. So that really helped me normalize it. But then something else happened. So I grew with thick skin, and I know my boundaries, and I also know when I feel like clients are overstepping their boundaries. I feel like I'm very well equipped in dealing with that. Because of all the things that have happened in the past, I now know I know so well what I accept in my business, in my team, in my for my clients, in my portals. I know what I accept, and I have to admit I encounter less of that BS in my business because of it, right? So I do feel like those first years of success was also it was also preparation, right? Preparation for what is to come next, right? But then something happened, and that really hit me hard. And I feel like that subconsciously did something with me, and I need to share it in order to release it. So what had happened? I think in 2019 I did a group program, and we had like over 30 women in there, and it was a program that cost around 3,000, 4,000 euros. So having a group of 30 plus women in that container was a large energetic charge, right? Like I said, when the numbers get bigger, the energetic charge in your containers get bigger as well. When you have 30 women who invest 100 euro, it's different than when you have 30 women that invest over 4,000. The energetic charge is the energetic charge of 30 times 3,000, right? So that's like, what is that, 90,000? Is that correct? 3,000 times 30? Yeah, I think it's 90,000. So that's like an energetic charge of 90,000 in your portals, right? So that was like a high energy portal, and it takes a lot to carry that, right? You have to be a certain person to carry that. And I did, and I finished up that group, and then a couple of months later I hosted a live event, and that, I think, sort of like 10 or 12 women came to that. It was like a 2-day live event, and one of those women who was in my Dream Academy also came to this particular event, and she had also bought my book, and she had also bought my card deck, and she was like a very dear client of mine. I met her several times real life, and she was such a beautiful soul. She was such a beautiful soul. And at a certain point I sort of started losing contact with her. She sort of went her own way, but a couple of my other clients were still in contact with her. And one day, like a couple of months later in the summer, I get this call, from one of my other clients, and she tells me that this girl has died. And I felt like so devastated when I heard that. Like, I felt so devastated for her that she got to a place that she actually decided to take her own life. I felt sad, and I also felt, and this is the part I think I never shared, I also felt embarrassed, and also, I don't know, the words embarrassed and ashamed came up. And yeah, embarrassed and ashamed towards, I guess, her family, maybe her friends, like her friends who were also clients of mine. I felt somehow that I was responsible for what happened. And the reason why I never allowed myself to speak about it is because I was too afraid, like when I would share it, that maybe people would actually think that I was responsible of it, right? And I'm not even talking about the legal stuff, right? The legal stuff, I got that stuff covered. Like when people get into a program of mine, they all agree on my terms, and in that case there was even a contract, right, where people state that they are like in a good mental health, and it wasn't even that, but I feel like such a old wound of crucifixion or something got opened up. And I just right now, even right now, I feel scared about talking about it. I really feel like, oh my God, Sophie, you shouldn't be sharing this. You shouldn't be sharing this. You shouldn't be sharing it. I just felt like that whole crucifixion that we probably all went through in former lives, like us all being like weird witches and stuff. Like, we probably have been crucified. We probably have been thrown in the water to be drowned, and we probably have been put on the I don't know, the fire and got burned, right? I mean, I think we all have those wounds, and when stuff like this happen to us in the 3D physical reality, it tends to open up that wound. And I think that that's something that happened in my case, and I did share it with like my intimate circle, and of course everybody says you are not responsible, and I know that we are only responsible for our own lives, and that everybody has their own responsibility. But on a human level, you can't help but think, right? I mean, what if she had never entered my portal, right? Maybe things would have gone differently. But when I say these words right now, I also realize that that goes for everybody who has lost somebody as a result of suicide. And even if it's not suicide, right? I mean, last year we lost somebody in the family, like a very young girl. Like, I didn't know her personally, but it was like family of my husband's family. A young girl, 14 years, in a car accident. She went joyriding and she got killed. And like, her mom asks herself questions as well, right? Like, maybe if I would have done this, she wouldn't gotten into the car, right? I mean, these are just the questions that we as human beings ask ourselves when people die in our energy field. And it's very normal to ask ourselves those questions. And I think it's actually a compliment, because it shows that we care. It shows that we do not get unaffected. It shows that we care about the people around us. But I'm really recording this episode today for everybody here, and including myself, to really help us understand on the deepest level that at the end we are only, I repeat, only responsible for our own energy fields. That is our responsibility. And everybody else has their own responsibility. Even our children. I mean, yes, in the beginning of their lives, we have a form of responsibility, but also for our children, they are responsible for themselves, right? And we can guide them, but we are not responsible. And that's the same for our clients, and that's the same for our friends, and that's the same for all of our beloved ones. We are not responsible for anybody else but ourselves. And recently I recorded a tapping audio, and I recorded that for the women who were in my Dream Academy, and I also shared it with the women in the Abundance Game. And you can also actually still buy it. It's an investment of 111 euros. And it's a very, very, very powerful tapping exercise where I basically help you release any shame, and also I don't know the right word for that, unfair feeling of responsibility for other people's lives. Because this is what is preventing a lot of you guys from making more money. Especially when we attach this to money, we feel responsible. Like, if, like this beautiful soul where I spoke about, who took her own life, only attended my free master classes, I would have not felt responsible. I only felt responsible because she was in a paid portal. And that shows to me that the reason that I felt responsible is that I still attached money to responsibility. Okay, somebody pays me money, so now I'm responsible for their lives. And that is a huge burden to carry. And if that's still an attachment that you have, then it's quite impossible to start making more money than you currently are doing. Like I've reached you heard my guys. Wow, I'm stumbling over my words. You heard me speak about like how I broke through my income level in January, and I plan on breaking through many more this year. And this is why I'm having these conversations as well, because it is important. It's important to understand that in order to get to that next level, we have to release a false form of responsibility. When people get into your portal, of course you want to prevent your best work, right? Of course. But that's not the responsibility to somebody else. It's your responsibility to yourself, right? I mean, if you consider yourself a good business owner, you would expect nothing less than making the best content. And that's what I have decided. And I've decided that a long time ago, but I feel like I have to redecide. Like, I always do the best that I can in every single portal that I give. And there will always be people in there that will be over the moon excited by you. And there will always be people who won't like it. And then there will always be people also who will love you at first and praise you into the heavens, and then all of a sudden turn over and become your worst enemy. I've seen it all. And I have come to learn to not get attached to any of it. When people praise me, when people hate me, I am no longer invested in that. Because the praises, believe it or not, are as damaging as the haters. Okay? Because usually, and I don't know where I've heard this. I have heard this quote somewhere, and everybody who is a celebrity knows this as well. Like, people who like praise you, extremely praise you, those are a lot of times the people who at a certain point all of a sudden start hating you. When you start calling them out on something, when you don't play the role anymore that they have put you in, they will start hating you. And that's because you trigger the shit out of them, right? People, I had this other quote, which I all of a sudden remember as well. That's this quote that, I think Mel Robbins says something about that. I think Jen Sincero says something about it. Jen Sincero says something about that. She says something like the reason why you start losing people when you get very successful is because when you all of a sudden become successful, you are challenging other people in their beliefs. All of a sudden you don't. I'm driving past a car with 333 while I'm saying this. All of a sudden, you are no longer playing the role that they want you to play. And that is threatening to a lot of people. That is threatening. When you no longer play the role that they want you to play, you become a threat. And a threat, 9 out of 10 times, people want that to be eliminated. So they usually try to do things. And I've encountered that as well in my personal life and in my business life. They will either try to change you and dim your light and see if they can get you back in the box, which I have allowed way too long in my personal life. And if that doesn't work, they will hate you. They will hate you and they will make you their worst enemy. So those are the two options that those people have, or they think they have. They either try to dim your light, put you down, tell you you're not good enough, that they'll just try to dim your light, and they will succeed depending on how much you allow them. Or they will hate you, make you an outcast, and say the worst things about you and really try to shame you with everybody who is willing to hear that, which is similar to the crucifixion. And those are the two options for those people, because they feel threatened by who you are. They feel threatened by people who shine their lights unconditionally. Because when you shine your light unconditionally, it overshadows them. It overshadows them. And then they have to look in the mirror and decide, like, hey, do I want to be overshadowed, or do I want to step up my game? And most people don't want to change their behavior. Most people don't want to step up their game. Most people want to stay in their familiarity zone. Most people will just stay at the same energetic place for the rest of their lives. And maybe they will do well, like on the outside, it may look like they're doing well. It may look like they're making a lot of money, buying a lot of houses, doing a lot of amazing things. But are they really, really happy? Are they really, really living their soul desire? And for a lot of people, it's just an empty shell. It looks amazing on the outside, but the inside is dark and miserable. And this sounds a little bit like depressing, but it's true. This is true. And we need to understand that that's just the world we live in, right? That's the world we live in. But we cannot, and I repeat, we cannot allow that energy to dim our light. Your gift is too precious. Your gift is too amazing to be dimmed. And if you are in my energy field, that means that you have an amazing light that needs to be shined upon the world. And I have this beautiful meditation, and I might do this on the event as well, I don't know, but it's a beautiful meditation where I take you on this journey with me, and I take you on this beautiful hallway with all your guides present. And then I get you to this balcony, and on this balcony I have you envision the whole world, and you actually see all the different lights in the world glow up by your amazing light. Don't underestimate the power of today's world, of the podcast, of the Instagram, of the Facebook. If you share your message, somebody in freaking Africa, in the smallest village, can hear your message. And that message might be the one message that will save their lives. So yes, we might lose people. Yes, devastating things to us might happen, but there are also amazing things happening, and we don't always see the physical evidence of that. But somewhere across the world, somebody is listening to your message right now, and it's like, wow, that's what I needed to learn to keep on going. This is what I needed to hear to keep on going. So don't focus on all the likes. Don't focus on all the comments. Yes, it is amazing when it happens, because of course we are human and we need that gratification in some form. But remember, even if nobody likes your message, even if nobody places a comment, people are still watching. And there are a lot of secret watchers in the world, right? People who don't feel comfortable or just don't feel called to leave a message or a like, but they are touched by your message. And maybe your message today will save somebody's life, or will change their lives for the good in a way that you could never, ever, ever have made possible. And I know those stories as well. I have a lot of those stories. When I hosted my third event, I think I had over 70 people on that event. It was a live event as well. We had a camera crew and everything. I got stories from people who said, Sophie, just listening to your podcast, it changed my whole life. I decided to sell my house and travel the whole world, right? Stuff like that, like amazing things. We don't always hear the stories, but we are making impact, and your light needs to be shined even brighter. So if this is a message that is resonating with you on the deepest level, then it's showtime is for you. Okay? Showtime is for you if you feel like your light needs to be shined even brighter. And it's about really stepping into that room with these amazing women, with me, with my team, with the photographer, with the makeup artist, with the vlogger. Like, it's gonna be such an incredible day. And this is what it's about. It's about truly shining your light. And yes, we all go through our things, and there are things come with the success, but it can never ever be a reason to dim your light. Nothing is a reason for you to dim your light. Okay? You're amazing. You're a queen. You are a goddess. You have a tremendous gift. And I'm inviting you to come and join us. I would be honored to see you there. And I mean that. I would be honored to see you there. All the information you can find on sophieditmar.com/itsshowtime. And there are still tickets available. Okay, love you.